Chapter 4. Up Through the Rabbit Hole. I emerged from the doctor's office, and Maggie knew something had happened. "You look like a ghost. Did you let him suck all the blood out of you or something?" He dropped a nuke on me. I'll explain on the drive home. I was in shock, and I'm sure I looked pale, but the data overload would take some time to work through. Maggie began slow with her questions and let me process the experience. I recited my conversation with the doctor, and when I got to the part about David, her jaw dropped to her chest, and she bobbled the wheels slightly. "You're sharing the same dream boyfriend? With your mother?" Yeah, that's about it," I said. "How's that even possible?" asked Maggie. "The doctor believes my mother could cross over into other dimensions. He thinks I'm just like her." My eyes filled with tears. "Is this what's going to happen to me?" I said to no one. I broke down and sobbed into my hands. "Oh, Luce, no," said Maggie. "You can't assume that." She reached into the center console, pulled out leftover napkins from a fast food run, and handed them over. "Thanks," I said, and wiped my eyes and nose. "Promise you won't get mad if I say something?" Maggie glanced at me as she negotiated past a car on the highway. "Okay," I said. "I get the feeling this doctor was in love with your mom. Sounds like you remind him of her. The perv has to be older than Chuck." "I know what you mean. I thought the same thing, but it's different somehow." "Well, if I catch him stalking you, I'll sneak into his office, open up his coffin, and put a frickin' stake through his heart." Maggie laughed, and I knew she was trying to cheer me up. But it wasn't the weirdest part. Next, he talked physics. "What?" Maggie twisted her face. "Doesn't sound like any doctor I know of." The doctor told me he got his Ph.D. in physics from the University of London. He was influenced by a professor who studied under Dr. Baum. "Dr. Baum?" asked Maggie. "No, it's spelled different, I think. Anyway, he said this Baum guy did research on subatomic particles, something about how the big objects of our universe act in a certain way, but as you go deeper into the smaller subatomic particles, things behave wild and unpredictable. Down in those lower levels, there is no past or future, only now." "Freaky," said Maggie. Then he started babbling more about how the universe is a huge hologram, and we all play a part in its creation. "Hologram? Like those stickers you find in cereal boxes where the image moves?" Maggie's face looked like she smelled something rank. "No, not exactly. Let me see if I can replay his words and make sense of them. He said that holograms are created by a laser beam that is split and reflected off an object from two different angles onto a special film. Later, if you shine a laser beam through that film at the same angle, then you create a three-dimensional hologram object. The film looks like a series of overlapping concentric circles, as if a handful of gravel were tossed into a pool of water. The really weird part is that if you cut the film into 4 pieces, each piece can recreate the same image." "Wild and freaky," she said. "So he believes the universe is a hologram, and everything knows about everything else. The parts know about the whole." Then he got all philosophical and stuff, saying that within each of us, we know about the entire universe, and some people can tune their brains like a laser at different angles and tap into other places in the past, present, or future. He believes my mother could do that. "And you?" asked Maggie, sensing the direction I was going. "I don't know. There's too much to soak in. Don't tell anybody about this. Okay?" I didn't need any more attention than I already got at school. My episode in Spanish was now legendary at Park North, and I'd gotten strange looks ever since. "Hell no, I won't say a word. Trust me on this. I got a vested interest in you being sane. I'm your best friend. Guilt by association, you know. If I rat you out, I might as well wear a shirt saying, 'I'm with crazy.'" I hadn't thought of it like that, but she made sense. "What's Chuck going to say about this?" "My dad won't know what to say about anything, 'cause I'm not telling him." "Sure, but if he figures out you're seeing your mother's doctor, he's going to flip." I gave Maggie a stern face, and she saw it out of the corner of her eye. "I'm not going to tell him if that's what you're thinking," said Maggie. Maggie nodded, as if she agreed with me, but I noticed a definite sense of relief as she took a large breath and let it all out. I would see Ramey again. The doctor was a goldmine of info. I just needed to figure out how to see him in secret. I kept the other part of my appointment to myself. Later that night in my dreams, it's a night on a moonlit field, and once again I stand under the familiar huge tree with its sprawling branches. The shadows around me dance as the branches sway from the breeze. There are no stars, only a black sky with a full moon. I think it's strange the moon has no face. It's clear as a light bulb. I look up into the tree and find a familiar shape climbing down. The shadow comes to the lowest branch and stops. "I need to talk to you," I say up to David. "I'm sure you do. Maybe this time you should follow me. I have something to show you," he says. "Help me." I reach my hands up to the branch. "Help yourself. Jump." All right. It must have been a 10-foot vertical. I leap and land on the branch beside him. David grabs my arm to steady the landing. Wicked, I whisper. You've got the ability. You just need to remember to use it. Come on. David leaps and climbs up the branches. But I realize talking is for later, and match him branch for branch as I scamper after him. The coarse branches are sticky with sap, which is gross, but helps my grip as I pull and jump my way to the top of the tree. David continues to be a shadow until he's suddenly gone. Where'd you go? I call up. Just keep climbing, says David's voice above me. I keep moving upward, and then I stand at the top of the tree. Below me, the fields stretch away in all directions. Other trees dot the landscape, but each one is separated by an equal space in what looks like a grid that extends to the horizon. Everything remains colorless, an endless sea of various grays and blacks. Are you coming? Asked David from the void above me. Where are you? Reach up and keep climbing. What? I mutter almost to myself. I reach up and my arm disappears into the inky black sky. I feel another branch and pull myself into the darkness above me. I see nothing, but I feel the branches just the same. The glowing darkness reminds me of the tunnel and the dark doorway from my previous nightmares. I imagine hearing the snake dude's voice in my mind and remember the panic. In this in-between place, I continue for a few branches, and it's like a light switch flip. I find myself now standing again at the top of a different tree. It's daytime, and once my eyes adjust to the light, bright green fields roll in waves below me. Hills undulate out with a similar grid of trees as far as I can see. It's a mirror image from where I'd been, except it's day now, and there are fewer trees. Climb on down, comes a distant voice of David from far below. I look down between my feet and see a tangle of branches and a small figure waving its arms to get my attention. Okay, I shout down. I descend through the branches slower, but reach the lowest branch and jump to the ground below. As I fall, all the color of my clothes sparkles up, and I feel as though I am again a being of substance and no longer a child of gray. David strolls up from behind the trunk and greets me with the usual beaming glow. Wild ride, eh? Don't even ask me to explain, because I don't understand it either. You go up, then you're going down. Go figure. I nod my head and remain silent. I smile, wanting only to study him more and choose my moment to speak. Are you okay? David senses my uneasiness. As okay as anyone when you rattle their world. What do you mean? David tilts his head to the side. How long have we known each other? I don't know. Time doesn't mean the same here. It's been almost 8 years. We met by the same oak tree just after my mother died. Yeah, okay. We were both about 8 at the time. We've kind of grown up together. David looks at his feet and smiles as if replaying a memory. Is that really true? Have you been the same age as me? Or have you been a different age? I stick my chin out further, delivering the accusation. What kind of question is that? I stare. Why are you looking at me like that, Luce? It's the same as me asking you if you've always been a girl. Answer the question. My age is my age. I grow older just like you. Did you know my mother? I ask. I know a lot of people, but I don't know if I know your mother. Her name was Laura. Laura Locke. Your mother is Laura? His eyes glisten as tears well within them. He grabs my shoulders. Your mother's Laura? Oh my God. That's impossible. What's wrong? He shakes his head as if he doesn't have the words to express himself. Why didn't you tell me you knew her? I ask him. I didn't know she was your mother. I never made the connection. He wipes the tears away on the sleeve of his shirt. You were grieving the loss of your mom when we met, remember? Do you recall what I was upset about? I take a moment to think. You said you lost your guide. Exactly. Laura was my guide. She helped me to navigate my way through all of this. And then she disappeared. You never mentioned her name. You only called her your guide. You never told me your mom's name. You only called her Mom. How stupid are we? You always got sad when I mentioned your guide, so I stopped bringing her up. Same for your mother. You always reminded me of her, but I didn't connect the dots. Now I understand why I've been so drawn to you. You look so much like her. I've heard that twice today. David cocks his head and scratches his neck. Never mind, I'll explain later, I say. Luce, there's something you should know. It's what I want to show you. I heard her voice last night. Whose voice? I ask, not daring to believe what he may tell me. Your mother's.